What's up guys, JayFerGaming here and welcome to my review of the 2014 Austrian Grand Prix. As you can see, it is the Korean track in the footage, but of course the Austrian Grand Prix wasn't in 2013, so therefore isn't on the game. So I picked Korea because it's not on the 2014 calendar. So, to review the race. The Williams were on the first row. I didn't actually watch qualifying properly. I kind of heard the result and I couldn't believe it. No Mercedes on the front row, with Rosberg in third, Hamilton in ninth. I thought it was quite amazing because, yeah, the Mercedes are the dominant car this season by probably about a second a lap. On the soft tyres, they were 3/4 of a second ahead of the next best cars, which was the Williams. And Massa took his first pole in 6 years, I think it is. Yes, since the last race of 2008. And he just beat Bottas. It was a really good lap. I watched it this morning, so kudos to him. Well done for the pole position, but obviously it didn't end up how he wanted at the end of the race. So from the start, the Williams didn't get away too bad, but it was Rosberg. It was actually both Mercedes that made the biggest gains from their starting positions. Rosberg got a really good start up to second into the first corner. It's really a steep incline into turn one, and quite a slow right-hander, so I thought there might be carnage at the start, but it was actually really clean. Hamilton got from 9th to, I think, 6th by the first corner, or 7th. Yeah, he got up to 7th because he passed Raikkonen and Kvyat, who were slow starters, and Magnussen pushed Ricciardo wide after turn one, which gave Hamilton another position, and then running up to turn two, Bottas came back at Rosberg and got him round the outside, I think it was, into turn two, because the Williams were actually really quick in a straight line, which actually really surprised me because I thought the Mercedes car was the quickest overall in a straight line. So Williams have definitely made some gains in the past 2 weeks since Canada, and Hamilton had a look at Alonso but just couldn't get it done. But he did at the end of the first lap in a really tricky position to pass a car. I watched the two GP2 races and they made a few moves stick, but not really in coming into the second to last corner. So it was the two Williams followed by the two Mercedes, and the Mercedes were obviously quicker, but it was actually really exciting. A gap to 5th where Alonso was lagging behind a little bit, all on his own, just being solid, getting the most out of the Ferrari. So yeah, coming into the first pit stops, it wasn't the best of races overall. It was decent, quite strategic. But yeah, first pit stops, I think Rosberg, was it Hamilton first? Yeah, I think it was Hamilton first, then Rosberg, and the Williams made really late calls. I think two and 3 laps after the Mercedes, which is really strange, because obviously the Mercedes are going to get the undercut, which did happen, because, well, Hamilton didn't have the quickest stop, but Rosberg took the lead, and Massa, he lost out so badly, dropping from 1st to 4th. I don't know what Williams were doing, because if the Mercedes pit, a couple of laps on fresher tyres isn't going to do much, because it's difficult to overtake around Austria. Because in my opinion, Austria, it's not a great track for racing. Even the DRS zones weren't too great, and when I heard it was back on the calendar, I wasn't excited about it whatsoever. But I was thinking back to the late 90s, early 2000s. I can't really remember an actual race, just a few moments. Obviously with Schumacher Barrichello, the overtake just before the finish line being the most controversial incident. But yeah, the order was Rosberg, Bottas, Hamilton and Massa after the first pit stops, but Hamilton had a bit of a slow stop which could have got him past Bottas and possibly could have given him more chance to attack Rosberg. Other action, thinking about it, Gutierrez, unsafe release in the pit lane. The wheel wasn't on properly, but the penalty's so harsh. 10-second drive-through penalty. Obviously the penalty for waiting in the pit lane for his mechanics to pull him back to the pit box. And then a 10-place grid penalty. I remember that happening earlier on in the season with Ricciardo. It's so harsh. Wow. It really is. Did he really deserve a 10-second stop-go penalty as well? Oh well, that's the FIA for you. Well, Vettel obviously retired early on. He's having so much luck. He's definitely in Mark Webber's car this season. I think that's 3 mechanical failures he's had. And yeah, Ricciardo's getting all the luck, which, yeah, I think Vettel deserves a bit of bad luck after the past 4 seasons. So he retired. He wasn't really angry at the team for once, which he has been the last couple of times. So moving on later into the race, Bottas, I think it was the second pit stops. Hamilton got the jump on Bottas and was closing in on Rosberg, but I don't think he really had the pace to cut. Well, he caught Rosberg, but he couldn't get past. Because I've seen loads of people blaming the pit stops for Hamilton not winning the race, but they're clearly Lewis Hamilton fanboys. Because I think he lost 1.5 seconds, but I don't think he would have got anywhere near Rosberg anyway. Well, overtook him, because it's a tough track to overtake. So that's pretty summing up most of the main points of the race. So going through the results, Hamilton was 2 seconds behind. He was putting the pressure on Rosberg on the last lap. Rosberg locked up, but I think he had it covered and deserved the win, and has opened up a 29-point lead. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, I think it's 29 points, and Rosberg's going to win the championship in my opinion. I'm guessing a lot of fanboys out there for Hamilton will not agree. Bottas third, put in a really good drive, only 8 seconds off the lead, which is really impressive. And that's his first podium in F1, so good job to him. Massa, 17 seconds off the lead. I think he'll be really disappointed because I think he would have expected third today, beating Bottas, but the strategy just didn't play out for him. I don't know what the team were doing because they just totally messed it up for him. And Alonso nearly got him. He only finished a second behind Massa. And it was more like Fernando is faster than you at the end. And he's doing a really good job, Alonso. You barely see him in the races. The last, I think, 3 or 4 races, he just goes goes along, getting the best out of the car and pretty much getting 5th place, which is the best the Ferrari can get at the moment. Perez 6th. He's so good in his tyres, starting on the primes. For the past 2 races, he's got it up there, and he finished 16 seconds ahead of his teammate, who started 10th, I think. And Perez back in 15th. He's so delicate on the tyres, and I think he's very unlucky not to be at McLaren again this season, but that's history, and he's got 8 more points for Force India. Magnussen, who we haven't really seen too much since Australia, but some solid points for him. Perez obviously overtook him a few laps from the end. Ricciardo 8th, Hülkenberg 9th. A good battle on the last lap there. Ricciardo going down the outside of Hülkenberg into turn 5, which isn't really an overtaken area, so it was a good move. Hülkenberg broke a little bit too early, so I'm guessing he didn't have too much grip left on his tyres. Raikkonen 10th, another poor performance by him. He's got to be struggling with the car because he's been so poor this season. I think he's got 18, 19 points, so he's 50 points behind his teammate Alonso and not contributing too much to the team, so he really needs to pick it up because his form is horrendous. What is his best finish thinking about? Is 7th? I'm thinking 7th, and that's not good enough. Button seems to keep finishing 11th. I think he's just struggling with the car. He struggled in the first stint grinding up his soft tyres, so sadly couldn't get anything there. Maldonado 12th, which is really impressive for him because he didn't crash. He did go off in qualifying, but that was after the session had finished pretty much, so at least he's not lost in the championship standings now, so well done to him. Sutil 13th. Sauber and Lotus are just nowhere. Grosjean's pulled out a couple of good performances for Lotus, but they're both really struggling. Bianchi 15th, just pipped Kobayashi. Chilton 17th, Ericsson 18th, and Gutierrez 19th after his penalty, his unsafe release. So he'll be at the back of the grid for the next race, or probably more likely in the pit lane. The 2 Toro Rossos both retired, and Vettel, so not a good race for Red Bull at the Red Bull Ring. So that's really ironic, and yeah, I'm not going to complain about it. Yeah, Kvyat was actually doing really well, qualified 7th, and got a puncture. I think his suspension must have failed because it happened in the middle of a straight. So unlucky for him. So that's pretty much the summary of the whole race. Not the most exciting, but it was quite a strategic battle. Not a fan of the Austrian track, but what can you do? Can't be a fan of them all. And the next race is in 2 weeks. It's our home race for most people. It's the British Grand Prix, which is always exciting. Unpredictable weather, you never know. So, hope you enjoy the race. I'm hoping it'll be an awesome one. And I'll catch you in the next review. Goodbye.